Hello மக்களே, welcome to another episode of the Isai Podcast. So, we live in a plural and fluid society. When I say plural and fluid, I mean it keeps changing. At the same time, sometimes it looks like it's constant. ஒரு திடீர்னு பார்த்தா நான் மாறணும்னு நினைக்கிற விஷயம் மாறாத மாதிரியும், மாறவே மாறாது அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிற விஷயம் மாறிக்கிட்டே இருக்கிற மாதிரியும் இருக்கும். Just like how we go and stand in front of the mirror and அதுக்கப்புறம் கொஞ்சம் குண்டாயிட்டோமா ஒல்லி ஆயிட்டோமா நம்மளால செக்கே பண்ண முடியாது. பிகாஸ் வி நெவர் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட், பிகாஸ் வி வாட்ச் இட் ஃப்ரம் டூ க்ளோஸ். வீட்டில் இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கும் தெரியாது. இது என்னோட பர்சனல் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ். அதுக்கப்புறம் வரும். ஸோ த திங் இஸ், ஒரு சேயிங் இருக்கு இல்லையா, ஒரு கான்ஸ்டன்டான ஒரு விஷயம் என்ன அப்படின்னா அது சேஞ்ச் தான் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. அது மாதிரி சேஞ்ச் இஸ் ஒன் திங் தட்ஸ் ஆல்வேஸ் கான்ஸ்டன்ட்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ஆஸ் ஹியூமன் பீயிங்ஸ் வி ஹவ் ஆல் இவால்வ்ட். As civilians, we have all changed for the better அப்படின்னு. That's what at least we want to believe. As a society, நம்ம எல்லாரும் ஒரு விஷயத்த நோக்கி போவோம். குட் அண்ட் பேட், கரெக்ட் அண்ட் ராங் அப்படின்னு. அதுக்கு நிறைய பிலாசபிஸ் இருக்கு. கரெக்ட்னு ஒரு விஷயம் இல்லை, தப்புன்னு ஒரு விஷயம் இல்லை, மாரல் விஷயங்கள் என்ன, இம்மாரல் விஷயங்கள் என்னங்கிறதுக்கான டிபேட் ஓடிக்கிட்டே தான் இருக்க போகுது. பட் அந்த மாரல் அண்ட் இம்மாரல் அப்படிங்கறத டிசைட் பண்றது அந்த தற்போதைய காலகட்டம் எது மாரல்னு சொல்லுதோ அதுதான் மாரல். தற்போதைய காலகட்டம் எது இம்மாரல்னு சொல்லுதோ அதுதான் இம்மாரல். சோ இதுவே 10 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி, 100 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி எது கரெக்டா இருந்திருக்குமோ அது இப்ப தப்பா இருக்கலாம். அதே மாதிரி இப்ப நம்ம கரெக்டா நினைக்கிறது ஒரு 100 வருஷத்துக்கு அப்புறம் தப்பா இருக்கலாம். So that's why I said, as civilians, as society changes, our whole being changes. நம்மளோட way of living changes. நம்ம இன்னைக்கு சரின்னு நினைக்கிறத நாளைக்கு தப்புன்னு நினைக்கலாம். இது ஹிப்போக்ரிசி கிடையாது. ஸோ பெரும்பான்மையா நான் பார்க்குற ஒரு விஷயம், ஒரு 10 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி நம்ம மெமரிஸ், ஃபேஸ்புக் மெமரிஸ்னு வரும். அதை பார்த்தோன்னே வி கிரிஞ்ச் டுவர்ட்ஸ் இட். ஐயோ, இதெல்லாமா நம்ம எழுதியிருக்கோம் இந்த ஃபேஸ்புக்ல அந்த காலத்துல அப்படின்னு. உங்களுக்கு ஜென்சி மக்களுக்கு புரியுமான்னு தெரியல. வி யூஸ் டு write nonsense on Facebook, but that reminds us of who we were and how far we've come. அந்த மாதிரி as a society, as we have evolved over time, நமக்கு ஒரு விஷயம் நமக்கு புரியணும், that we have evolved for better அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. ஸோ இவ்வளோ சொசைட்டி பத்தியும் இவ்வளோ இதை பத்தியும் நான் பேசுறேன் அப்படின்னா இன்னைக்கு நம்மளோட கெஸ்ட் யாரு அப்படின்னு உங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சிருக்கணும். ஸோ நம்மளோட கெஸ்ட் இன்னைக்கு ஒரு பார்ட்னர் ஃப்ரம் லா ஃபர்ம். So he's a law associate.
I'm a lawyer. I'm a partner in a law firm called Ishwar's Advocates. So I'm an IP lawyer, to be precise.
So I've brought in the right person. So I'm welcoming Mr. Isai Sunder அவர்கள். So வணக்கம், எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
வணக்கம், ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கேன்.
Thank you so much for coming today.
It's our pleasure. And first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to this podcast. I think you said change is the only constant. You put it very aptly, because the topic that we are going to be discussing today, it's about copyright laws and how it applies in the music industry. So whatever I had learned during my law school days is based on ஒரு act or ஒரு சட்டம் called the Copyright Act, which was passed in the year 1957. Right? So, but the law still applies today. It applies today as good as it started applying in the year 1957. So the law has remained constant, but there have been several changes that have happened in the music industry. But still the same law applies. So that's the beauty of the law. So I will definitely be happy to share whatever little knowledge that I've gained over the last 20 years in this field of law, which I am very passionate about. So thank you so much for
எனக்கு first இந்த இசை பாட்காஸ்ட்க்கு மியூசிஷியன்ஸ் எல்லாரையுமே நம்ம பேசியிருக்கோம், கூப்பிட்டுருக்கோம், அவங்களோட பேசியிருக்கோம். சிங்கர்ஸ்ல ஆரம்பிச்சு, மியூசிக் டைரக்டர்ஸ் ஆரம்பிச்சு, எல்லாரையுமே நம்ம வந்து நீங்க பார்த்துருப்பீங்க. நம்ம பேசியிருக்கோம். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து யூ ஆர் த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லாயர் டு பி ஆன் திஸ் பாட்காஸ்ட். ஏதாவது நான் தப்பா சொல்லிட்டேன்னா என்ன பிடிச்சு ஜெயில்ல போட்டுறாதீங்க.
No, that's my privilege and also an added responsibility, I should say, to ensure that this podcast remains as much as possible very neutral to the audience who are looking at this.
Yeah.
So I'll not make any controversial statements myself, so that we don't get caught in the wrong side of the law. Abdin சொல்லலாம் நம்ம.
Yes. We are not doing that.
right.
ஸோ எனக்கு முதல்ல ஒரே ஒரு விஷயம்தான். அதாவது இந்த விஜய் ஆண்டனி சாரோட பாட்டுல ஒரு இது வரும். நீங்க பேசுறதுமே புரியாத வார்த்தையாவே பேசிட்டு இருக்கீங்களே அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு அந்த ஆத்திச்சூடி பாட்டுல வரும். அந்த மாதிரி புரியவே மாட்டேங்குதே. வாட் ஆக்சுவலி ஷுட் அ மியூசிஷியன் டூ? வி டாக் அபவுட் மியூசிக் ரைட்ஸ், லீகல் ரைட்ஸ், காம்போசிஷன் ரைட்ஸ், அந்த ரைட்ஸ் இந்த ரைட்ஸ். இப்போ இத பத்தி படிக்கணும்னாலே சோ வேக் ஃபார் அட்லீஸ்ட் எனக்கு அப்படிதான் இருக்கு. ஐயோ என்னடா இது ரொம்ப போர் அடிக்குது அப்படின்ட்டு. ஸோ வாட் ஷுட் அ மியூசிஷியன் நோ? ஐ வாண்ட் எவ்ரிதிங் broken down in simple terms to understand all of these, you know, so-called difficult terms.
See, it's actually very easy to put it in a nutshell. Copyright law is very, very, very easy. It's actually one of the most easiest laws in the country. But என்னன்னா, the number of people that get involved in this ecosystem of creation of the various works like the film or the music or dramatical works or artistic works, the number of characters are more. So obviously when the number of characters are more, each one will have a separate set of rights. And when each one has a separate set of rights, each one would want to actually exercise it. So he may want to monetize over his rights, or he may want to capitalize his rights. So that is when all these kind of confusions arise. So coming back to your question, if you actually see, I would like to equate a musical work or a sound recording or anything that's a creative work to that of a property. When I say property, I equate it to say a building or a real asset. Both are not very different in that sense. When I say that, what I mean is a land or a building which is a real asset has some monetary value attached to it. So does a copyright, so does a musical work or a sound recording or a cinematography, anything that's a work of art, right? That's also a property, right? Which can be monetized, right? So say for example, today I can go sell the property, make money out of it. I can go lease it without parting with my ownership. I can still make money out of it. Today I may go and mortgage it with a bank and borrow money out of it. And I may give some kind of a license over it and I earn a license fee over it. So these are the various commercial monetary angles to that of a real estate property. I can do the very same things to a work of art or a musical work. So I, as a producer of a movie, I may go and engage a background music background music creator, or I can go and engage with a lyricist to write songs for me, and then they put together the lyrics with the tune, and then I have a music or a song ready for me that I can go incorporate into the movie, which I sell as part of the movie, or I distribute it as part of the movie. So same thing, I can kind of use the song or music just like how I can go sell something as a property, or I go lease it out of a property as a property which I earn money out of. Similar things I can do with the music that gets created, right? So if you see, it's a bundle of rights. It's not like ஒரு song create ஆச்சுன்னா as a producer I just have one right, I can go put it in a movie. So I get lot of rights. Once an asset is created as a copyright, I get a lot of rights as a bundle of rights.
Okay.
So that is where, what are those rights? அந்த ஒரு ரைட்லையும் யார் யாருக்கு என்ன ஷேர் இருக்கு, இதில் வந்து என்ன ரெஸ்ட்ரிக்ஷன்ஸ் இருக்குன்றதை டிஃபைன் பண்ணுறது தான் வந்து காப்பிரைட் ஆக்ட்.
Okay.
So this is, I would leave it here, and then probably as and when we move through this discussion, I will start explaining each of this.
இப்போ நம்ம வந்து கொஞ்சம் நீங்க சொன்னதுல இருந்து ஒரு கொஸ்டின் வந்து, ஒரு சாங் இப்ப ஆஸ் அ மியூசிஷியன் எனக்கு தெரியறது எல்லாமே ஒரு சாங் தான். அதுக்கப்புறம் நம்ம பேக்ரவுண்ட் ஸ்கோருக்கு போலாம். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒரு சாங்க யார் ஓன் பண்றா? ஸோ இப்ப நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி ஒரு ஒரு ப்ரொடியூசர் ஓன் பண்றாங்களா, இல்லாட்டா ஒரு மியூசிக் டைரக்டர் ஓன் பண்றாங்களா, பாடுற சிங்கர்ஸ் ஓன் பண்றாங்களா? அதுக்கு ஆன்சர் எனக்கு தெரியும் இல்ல.
Yes.
So who owns it? What they get out of it? If I remember doing this when I think I sang for something and was asked to sign an agreement for it.
Right.
Saying that, I've got money for this project.
Right.
And I do not have any rights over this. I don't have rights to sell, or this is just a formality. அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு they got official, Aadhaar card of those copies. And I signed it and I gave the document. And they also gave us a copy of the document. So that's when I was like, okay, இப்போ இதெல்லாம் இருக்கு, நமக்கு தெரியல அப்படின்னு இனிஷியலா சொல்றேன். Then it became a practice. Now it's more so a practice.
Right.
So who owns a song?
Good question. See, actually, I would like to start off with something more lighter. Generally, copyrightனா right to copy அப்படின்னு நினச்சிக்கிறேன் எல்லாரும். Right? So it's if that was the case, half of YouTube and Instagram would be happy. And I would be out of business. Right? So the actual ownership rights, copyright, as I said, as I explained earlier, comes with it a set of rights. So it's a bundle of rights. So you rightly put it that there are to create a song, there are multiple stakeholders, right? Starting from the lyricist, the music director, then you have the background artist, singer, playback singers like you, and then what we actually don't even realize is there is a troupe of instrumentalists and orchestra, though they are also artists, right? So if you look at it from that angle, your perception of, okay, to create a song, I'm sure there would be at least, say, 20 people are involved, right? That apart, there will also be recording studios and technicians, and all this put together comes out as one song or a sound recording, right? So to break it down further, I have the lyricist who gives me the words. Then அதை வந்து ஒரு மெட்டா இசையமைக்கிறதுக்கு ஒரு பேக்ரவுண்ட் மியூசிஷியன் தேவைப்படுறாரு. ஸோ தென் there is a background music director. Thereafter, there are artists and playback singers and instrumentalists. So all these put together, if you put it, I have compartmentalized it into three blocks: lyricist, background music director, or music director basically, and the artists who perform the song or sing the song, plus the instrumentalists who kind of play the music that is composed. So who engages all of them and for what purpose they are engaged is to create a song. Obviously, it is a person who finances the whole thing, right? So a producer is the person who brings together all these people and he commissions the work and creates a song. He may create it for either incorporating it into a cinematograph film or a cinema, as we call it in layman terms. And that is something that which further I as a producer may be financing. So law gives the right and considers the ownership of these kind of works or sound recordings or musical works, so to say, law says that the producer is the owner of all these things. While as individuals, lyricists, music directors, and say the artists who perform, they have their own set of rights. But when all these come together as an end product in a musical work or a sound recording, then the producer is the person who kind of finances or commissions this work, who engages all these people. So the law gives the producer the ownership rights as a copyright on these things.
So the producer will be the producer of the film in such cases.
It could be an album, it could be a film, it could be any person who basically finances. See, I don't want to equate the word financing with production. I don't want to undermine the because a producer is not merely a financier, he also gets the various production related things in place.
அதாவது ஒரு ஆர்டிஸ்ட வந்து சூஸ் பண்ணதா
Correct.
பண்ற இதுல இருந்தே ஸ்டார்ட் கோ
Correct.
ஐ நவ் தட் யூ டோல்ட் மீ திஸ் நம்ம இப்போ இங்க இருக்கிற இந்தியன் சினாரியோல நம்ம எஸ்பெஷலி சவுத் இந்தியன் சினிமா நம்ம இந்தியன் சினிமால we have this financier is equal to producer
Correct.
kind of thing.
Correct.
But if you go to any other overseas movies,
Right.
producer is the person who brings artists in
Correct.
by talking to them and
Correct.
getting the work done.
Correct. Correct.
You know, getting their call sheet and
Absolutely.
you know.
So the line production and the all of
producer.
Absolutely.
Because finances is the company
Right.
that finances including the producer.
Absolutely.
So அதுவே ஒரு பெரிய இந்த டேர்ம் இல்லையா?
Correct. So
Moneyed.
absolutely, you're very right. See, I think more and more big budget movies are being rolled out today in the industry. And what's happening now is most of the producers look for a kind of a joint venture partnership. So they use certain persons like bankers or some, now there are banks and financial institutions which finance movie production projects.
Correct.
And there are co-production ventures that are coming into vogue. So there is beyond so when it comes to these kind of ownership related matters, so what ultimately drives or determines who owns the rights in such songs or musical works is the contract that the people sign. So as a lyricist, I would have signed, as you rightly said, I would have as a singer signed something when I got engaged for a particular song. So I would have, as a lyricist, signed up something with the producer to say that whatever lyrics that I am writing or penning down for a particular song belongs to you. I am assigning all my rights to the producer. Similarly, the background music composer or the music director himself also would sign an agreement that would say that the producer is the one who actually owns everything. I'm doing this for him. It's a work that I'm doing for him. So does all artists who are involved in the creation of the song, including the recording studios. So what I'm basically getting to is, without an agreement, things are a bit of a gray. So that is where now most of the artists either come to me when the dispute has started or before they start signing agreements, because they see some agreements which runs into some 20 pages, they don't understand certain things. Then that is when they actually approach us. That is when we kind of tell them, hey, look, these are your rights. You can reserve certain rights for yourself. You will have to assign certain things to the other side. You cannot retain everything and say that I own everything. Similarly, you don't have to also say that I will give you everything. But there are certain rights that artists like lyricists or singers can retain. So everything, as I said, is determined purely by the contracts that they sign. That's how I would put it.
Nicely put. ஸோ இப்போ நீங்கள் சொல்லும்போது என்கிட்ட சொன்னீங்க தட் சர்டன் திங்ஸ் கேன் பி ரீடைன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் யூஸ்ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கும் ஒன்று.
Right.
இப்போ வந்து நம்ம சே ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் வி ஆர் ஒர்க்கிங் வித் certain இப்போ
ம்.
ஒரு மியூசிக் டைரக்டர்
ம்.
இஸ் நாட் ஒர்க்கிங் அலோன் நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி
ரைட்.
ஒரு டெக்னீஷியன் இருப்பாங்க.
ம்.
So it starts from a music producer.
Right.
Then the music producer will help the music director arrange the music, whatever he or she has composed.
Right.
அவங்களோட தான் the music producer will arrange and give it to him or her.
ம்.
ஒண்ணு.
ம்.
அண்ட் அதுல வந்து ரஃபா இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட்ஸ் வந்து போட்டிருப்பாங்க.
ரைட்.
விஎஸ்டிஸ்ல காப்பிரைட் ஃப்ரீ மியூசிக்
Correct.
போட்டு இப்படி எல்லாம் போட்டு கொடுத்துருப்பாங்க.
ரைட்.
அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் வந்து இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட் பிளேயர்ஸ் வந்து கடைசியா வாசிப்பாங்க.
ம்.
அதுக்கு
ம்.
முன்னாடி சிங்கர்ஸ் பாடி இருக்கலாம், பாடாம இருக்கலாம். ஸோ நீங்க சொல்லும்போது ரெக்கார்டிங் இன்ஜினியர் லேட்டரா வருவாங்க. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ப்ரொடியூசர், மியூசிக் ப்ரொடியூசர், தென் மியூசிக் டைரக்டர், தென் சிங்கர், then instrumentalist, then we have recording engineer,
ம்.
then we have recording முடிஞ்சு mix and master engineer.
ரைட்.
இவ்வளோ ஸ்டேஜஸ் ஒரு பாட்டு மேக் பண்றதுக்கு இருக்கு.
ரைட்.
ஸோ இப்போ இவ்வளோ பேருக்கும் அக்ரிமெண்ட் வந்து போட்டாகணும்னு நீங்க சொல்றீங்க. கரெக்டா?
எஸ். எஸ்.
என்ன கொடுக்கலாம், என்ன வச்சுக்கலாம்?
Okay. I mean, the question itself is very, very clear. In fact, you have done a great job in defining who are all the stakeholders that are there in creation of a particular song. But you missed one person, who's the most important person, the lyricist.
Lyricist. ஐயோ, மனுஷன்.
So it starts from there,
Correct,
right?
correct.
So when you ask me a question, what can be retained அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, you are a singer.
ம்.
Now, just to give you a very simple example, today you may want to go perform whatever song that you have sung in a particular album or in a movie. You may want to go perform that on stage somewhere, right? So it's a performance, right? So now திரும்பி I will keep going back to the basics because this is, it all starts from there. Copyright, as I said, is a bundle of rights. So it's not just copyright create ஆயிடுச்சுன்னா முடிஞ்சது அப்படின்னு கிடையாது. So there is a performance இருக்கு, there is a distribution right இருக்கு, master rights இருக்கு, publishing rights இருக்கு. So lot of rights get attached as sub rights to a master right. So when I, as an artist or a lyricist or a music director, for example, right? So mostly who performs? The music directors and the background artists,
Correct.
right? Sorry, background singers.
Singers இல்லாட்டா instrumentalist.
Correct. So these are the main people who would like to perform whatever they have performed for a particular producer in some event or in some stage, right? So under the agreement, I need to be smart enough to retain such rights. Otherwise, what happens is every time I have to go back to the producer and start asking for permissions to perform my very own song. Right? So that is the most important thing. Of course, there are certain, it's not that because merely I have retained my performance related rights, it's not that I get a free run when I have a concert. I don't have to go get any permissions. கிடையாது அப்படின்ற மாதிரிலாம் இல்லை. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But what I'm saying is, to even perform my very own song that I have sung or I have composed, if contractually I have retained a right over it to perform it at a in later point in time or in a future date, then I get a right to do it with a certain flexibility, subject to other aspects that we'll discuss later. So this is the most important thing one should retain as an artist.
So when you go for interviews, you'll be asked to sing on certain channels, TV channels, இல்லட்டா யூடியூப் சேனல்ஸ் இருக்கலாம், சேட்டலைட் ஆர் டிஜிட்டல் நான் சொல்றேன்.
Right.
ஸோ இப்போ என்ன ஆகும், இப்போ சே ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஐ எம் சிங்கிங் அ சாங் தட் இஸ் ஓன்ட் பை அ லேபிள். Correct? So now somebody is owning, say a label is owning the song. Now the producer has apparently sold it to the label. Is that how I should understand it?
Correct. So what you're in effect talking of is distribution rights, right?
So we'll get to that later.
Yes, we'll get to that later. But to quickly answer your question, you're right. As I said, as a producer, I own the song and the music rights. I decide how I need to put it into the market.
Right.
Should I do it myself, or should I engage with label companies like the ones that you mentioned? And what are all the various legalities associated with that is something that we will discuss further in details.
Perfect. ஸோ அதுக்கு போறதுக்கு முன்னாடி மாஸ்டர் ரைட்ஸ் அதை பத்தி நம்ம டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணுவோம். ஸோ இப்போ நம்ம மிக்ஸ் அண்ட் மாஸ்டர் வந்து கடைசி ஸ்டேஜ் ஆஃப் யூனோ பிஃபோர் வி சென்ட் த மியூசிக் அவுட். ஸோ அதுக்கு வந்து வி ஹாவ் த மிக்ஸ் அண்ட் மாஸ்டர் என்ஜினியர் ஒர்க்கிங் வித் த மியூசிக் டைரக்டர், believing that all of them in unison work towards the bigger picture, which
Right.
is the movie.
Right.
So இப்போ the master rights யார்கிட்ட இருக்கும், அது who can sell it or otherwise
Right.
keep it?
Right. See, I think I will again touch upon the very same aspect, go to the basics. When a producer finances or commissions a work and he brings together the various artists, each and every artist who is involved in the creation of that particular song or musical work does that for the producer. And as I said, the producer is the one who is considered to be the owner of that copyright.
Okay.
Under law, under Copyright Act, the producer is the one who is considered to be the owner of that work. So the producer is the one who owns the master rights in a particular song that is produced by him, and which as an end product comes, the master right is vested in the producer legally. So what do you mean by master rights? As I said, again, copyright is a bundle of rights. Right? I will keep going back to the same thing because, as I said, it's a very simple area of law that's got overly complicated.
Yeah.
Right? So I can either distribute it myself, I can either go and license it to somebody, I can sell it separately for satellite, I can sell it separately for digital, I can sell it separately for Indian market, I can sell it separately for international market, I can sell it specifically for radio, I can sell it separately for a broadcast in a ship, in an airplane or a submarine, whatever. So now you understand the real meaning of bundle of rights. So whatever each aspect of rights that I can sell separately is coming out of one master right, which is my ownership.
Okay.
As to how I as a producer decide to distribute it or make it available in the market is my choice. So that is my master right.
Got it. Okay. So the end is the producer has the
Correct.
right
Absolutely.
for the master.
Absolutely.
So no one else has the right to decide what to do with it.
Typically, the producer in recent days, things were different, say maybe 20 years, 30 years, 40 years back, and that's where we are seeing a lot of copyright related disputes that are arising from very big music directors, which we will get to later point in time, because there were no well defined contracts. But now we work very closely with large production houses and artists who want everything to be defined very clearly. So there is a bit of maturity that is setting in to ensure that nobody loses out on monetizing their rights. So that's where producers are today very they are very particular about contracts. So that maturity is setting in where they want to define these kind of rights, get everything clearly assigned to them once a work is created. So yes, contracts are very important.
That's nice. And also recently when I've been here in this industry for a while, but ரொம்ப சில வருஷமா நான் பார்க்கறது என்னன்னா, you send invoices for your work, which for which they pay you out.
Right.
And the producer's name, everything, the
Right.
ST number, everything is in that invoice.
Right.
Our thing is also in the invoice. So that was interesting to change for myself to see.
Right, right. Very right. So, in fact, there also I would like to add, I don't want to digress from the
Oh,
topic,
absolutely not.
but there is a bit of inside technical information which we all need to know. So, there is, you mentioned the word GST,
Mm.
right? There are two components. One is when I assign an intellectual property right.
Mm.
See, see, for example, as a singer, um, it's not that I sing and I forget the song. As I said, you also have a right to perform it whenever you would like to perform it at a later point in time. So you reserve a certain right under your agreement. So which means you are also a creator in that sense, who helps in creation of a particular copyright in that work, because you in your head kind of decide how to modulate your voice to come out with a particular tune. So it is also something that is arising out of your own intellectual ability, that you understand how the song has to be sung, so in your own voice. So that is an assignment of your intellectual property rights in the agreement that you give to a producer, for which you paid something, right? So for which a GST may not apply, right? Because that is not a service that you're rendering, but it is an assignment of an intellectual property. But when you are rendering a service as a background singer, as a background artist, then you are, that is different from creation of an intellectual property. It's a service that you're rendering, for which GST applies.
Oh, so you mean a chorus singer, by background singer meaning?
When I say I'm the main playback singer, I render my service.
Oh.
And that's why I just don't sing. There are two things. One is I render a service as a professional. That is one component. The other is I assign my intellectual property to the producer.
Mostly a playback singer comes in the latter part, where you assign the intellectual
Property. And also as a singer, you are engaged because you are a professional
Yeah.
who renders the service of singing.
So இதுக்கு GST கொடுக்கணுமா கொடுக்கக்கூடாதா?
இருக்கு. So it depends on how the consideration you are receiving the consideration. If the consideration is split into a service component,
Okay, I get it now.
right?
Okay.
So when
You will have this service charge plus GST. So
Correct.
that's what you'll be receiving in the
paycheck, right? But there sometimes, say for example, background music directors, typically this is the out of my limited experience I'm saying this, a background musician or a music director, they may have their own recording studio. So they may do their own mixing and recording and whatever are the final touches that they need to do to make this song a final version அப்படின்றதுக்கு வந்து அவங்க ஸ்டூடியோலேயே they may record it. So but also apart from that recording related service, they are rendering service as an artist to compose the music. So the composition, the tune, the tone of putting the lyrics into a particular tune is out of their intellect.
Okay.
Right? So as a music director, what people generally do is they split the consideration component more from a tax planning point of view to அனாவசியமா வந்து எல்லாத்துலேயும் வந்து ஜிஎஸ்டி பே பண்ணணுமா வேண்டாமா. ஸோ ஐ கேன் ஃபார் அசைன்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் இன்டெலெக்சுவல் ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி இன் த டோன் தட் ஐ ஹவ் கிரியேட்டட் ஆர் இன் த டியூன் தட் ஐ ஹவ் கம்போஸ்ட், I don't have to pay a GST. So I get that as a consideration for intellectual property rights that I assign. But for the recording and dubbing and whatever mixing that I do, so that is a service that I render, for which I take a GST based invoice and நான் வந்து கொடுத்துருவேன். So it gets split like that. So that's how it works.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
இது வரைக்கும் மாஸ்டர் ரைட்ஸ்னா என்ன அப்படின்னு பார்த்தோம். இதுக்கப்புறம் நம்ம டிஸ்ட்ரிபியூஷன் ரைட்ஸ் என்ன அப்படின்னு அடுத்தடுத்த கட்டங்களை பத்தி நம்ம பார்க்க போறோம். So please stay tuned. I'll see you on the next episode. And until then, this is me, K R Soundarya, signing off from the Isai Podcast.